For your boy Shedeur Sanders up in Cleveland, Ohio, and he's getting it in, bro. Turning heads. He got to take reps with the first team yesterday, right after Joe Flacco, and it looked like he's making a strong impression on the Cleveland Browns coaching staff. Now, one big speculation leading up to this training camp and up to the draft was who picked Shedeur Sanders. Now, a lot of people was growing speculation that Jimmy Haslam actually called Andrew Berry and told him to draft Shedeur.
What do you get when a billionaire gas station tycoon, a GM clinging to a flip phone, and a quarterback named Shedeur walk into a draft room? Absolute Cleveland-level chaos. Jimmy Haslam's pulling disappearing acts with the truth quicker than the Browns blow postseason dreams. Now fans are wondering, was Shedeur Sanders really Andrew Berry's pick, or did Jimmy just scribble his name on a Waffle House napkin and call it genius? Buckle up, this mess is uglier and more tangled than the Browns' entire quarterback graveyard.
So Cleveland Brown owners admits he didn't want Shedeur Sanders. He just admitted it yesterday, or I think it was early today. Yeah, it was early today in front of reporters. And guess who he threw it on? He said it was Andrew Berry, the step infection who wanted Shedeur. We gonna break it down. I told you so. Don't get mad at me when I tell the truth, and all you people want to get mad at Bless One. Oh, Bless One, you think so negative? Why wouldn't I be negative of the lowly Cleveland Browns, especially when I'm an investigative journalist? Your favorite YouTuber, they all talk about the same BS. Me, I go a little bit deeper because this is bigger than football. It's deeper than football.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe Shedeur Sanders to the channel. It helps more than you think. Oh, Berry was stunned, like, soul leaving his body stunned. The cameras didn't just capture a smile, they caught a silent SOS hidden behind a strained grin. That wasn't the face of a GM thrilled about landing his franchise quarterback. No, that was the face of a man who just realized the draft board had been hijacked and swapped with a TikTok influencer ranking. And who was sitting at the top? Shedeur Sanders. Not because Berry put him there, but because Jimmy Haslam either had a dream, or inhaled one too many gas station fumes and called it divine inspiration.
Jimmy Haslam has spoken with the media, set the record straight about the entire thing. Now, I'm shocked with this one, man. I wasn't expecting him to come out and speak out against this, but he definitely did. I was very surprised. So about 20 minutes ago, man, he held a full press conference speaking to the media, and this is what he had to say. Let's roll it.
If you just told me we picked him on Saturday, right? Friday night driving home, y'all are going to pick Shedeur, I would say that's not happening. But we had a conversation early that morning, and then we had a conversation later that day. I think we had the right people involved in the conversation. At the end of the day, that's Andrew Berry's call. Andrew made the call to pick Shedeur.
Let's be real, Berry wasn't sold on Shedeur. Not even a little. If this draft room were a group project, Berry was the guy grinding out the research while Jimmy strolled in at the last second with glitter glue, declaring, "Let's make it pop." The second that pick was announced, you could practically hear Berry muttering, "So this is how it ends." Not with a bang, but with a Sanders. Do you honestly believe the Harvard-educated GM spent months dissecting analytics just to land on a quarterback more famous for his pre-game fit checks than his highlight reels? Please. That's not strategy, that's sabotage disguised as swagger.
So, we got to see the owners of the Cleveland Browns proving my point. There was nothing but ulterior motives between them. We know everything that's in line with this team and organization has been proven to be a failure. So let me play you guys Jimmy Haslam, the owner, who I've been telling you guys I'm skeptic of him. He's getting ready to sell the Cleveland Browns very soon here. You're going to see what I mean in 2 to 3 years. Him and his wife, Dee Haslam. You would understand how billionaires move. I've always been proven correctly when a franchise sells his team.
And now the Browns are scrambling to act like they were all in on Shedeur from the jump. Sure, just like they were all in on Johnny Manziel. And we all know how that disaster ended. Suddenly, the same franchise that's turned quarterback purgatory into an art form wants fans to believe this was the master plan all along. The revisionist history is so thick you can practically taste it. At this rate, we're just waiting for the inevitable documentary, *The Decision 2.0, we always believed in Shedeur.
My boy Shedeur Sanders just might be in a better position than what he was before. Or maybe not. Now, we all know the injury that my boy Kenny Pickett got, okay, which he might be out until the end of the preseason. I think it's like 4 to 6 weeks, maybe that's what they saying, in which I hate it for him because at the end of the day, I wish no injury upon no player. But that's just a part of football. We all know that. Now, the thing that's getting me is that even though Kenny Pickett is out, in which now is down to 3 quarterbacks, Shedeur Sanders has yet to get in with the ones, in which is kind of raising a lot of red flags and people starting to get fed up with it.
They're pumping out pressers faster than a fire hydrant in July, each one trying to repaint the disaster as divine strategy. But the fans? They're not buying it. You can't just slap a Browns jersey on someone and expect Cleveland to forget how this whole circus went down. This isn't Madden. People saw Barry's face. They saw the internal screaming. They saw the "I need a sabbatical" eyes. That's not a man who just landed his franchise QB, that's a man wondering if LinkedIn still remembers his password. What makes this worse is the sudden silence. You'd think Barry would be front and center celebrating the pick, maybe throwing in a "we saw something special in him." But nope, dude's been MIA like he's in the witness protection program for GMs who've been publicly overruled. Meanwhile, Jimmy Haslam's out here moonwalking across press conferences like he's the puppet master who just pulled the season's most expensive prank. And Shedeur? Oh man, he's right in the middle of this Cleveland convolution. He walks in expecting to be treated like a top pick, and instead, he's basically the guy at the party who wasn't actually invited but now everyone's pretending to remember texting.
I just heard the craziest thing I might have heard in my entire life when it comes to an owner, okay? Now, if you guys don't know what's going on, the owner for the Cleveland Browns, okay, Mr. Jimmy Haslam himself, has made a public service announcement in which he has stated that when it came to picking Shedeur Sanders in the draft, it was all on the GM, okay? And there's 2 ways, okay, he could be presenting this to the people. All right, now, the way I took it on the first round was straight negative. Okay, if I was Shedeur Sanders, based off of listening to this, I would be trying to request a trade.
The vibes are off. The energy is weird. It's like showing up to a blind date and realizing your date brought their ex along just to see how it goes. If Shedeur's smart, and he clearly is, remember, this kid's built a media empire before even throwing a pro pass, then he needs to get out of there fast. Pull the plug, pack the bags, turn that rental agreement into a refund, and disappear before the Browns drag his brand through the factory of sadness. Because that's what Cleveland does, they take hope, optimism, and swagger, and turn it into a cautionary tale. And right now, this entire operation is running on pure fiction. They're lying to fans like it's a new marketing strategy. Don't worry, this was the plan. Nah. If this was the plan needs to be burned and the ashes shot into space. Fans aren't dumb. This isn't 1994, where you could slip things under the rug and hope nobody noticed. This is 2025. Social media has receipts. Draft analysts have footage. And Cleveland fans? They've seen too much. They've lived through every lie, every broken promise, every quarterback savior who turned into a backup by week 7. And now you're trying to tell them this wasn't a panic pick? Stop it.
You won't believe what was just said about Shedeur Sanders. This quote right here is straight out of Browns camp. So Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, he said, if you would have told me y'all were going to pick Shedeur, I would say that's not happening. Andrew Berry made the call to pick Shedeur. He's essentially saying, like, I didn't expect us to take Shedeur. Basically, I know we were going to pick Shedeur until we picked Shedeur. And he's basically saying, if this doesn't work out, don't blame me, the owner. This is not my guy. I didn't want him. And while some of you might be thinking, well, why is the owner commenting on player personnel? In the NFL and other sports, the owners actually do have a lot to say in who you draft and who you take. Now, does that mean they're studying the tape or they're actually doing the hard work? Of course not. But they do have a lot of say. And when there's rumors of Arch Manning going to the Browns next year if he comes out in the draft, if that's what they choose to do, this is a very interesting point.
What's wild is how fast they tried to spin it. Like within minutes of the pick, they were already running highlight montages, calling him the future, slapping his name on digital billboards, and tossing around slogans like they just found their messiah. Meanwhile, Barry was in the corner looking like he just saw a ghost, and that ghost was his job security. Let's not forget, this isn't just a random choice, it's a power move. Not by Barry, but by the front office that's clearly off its rocker. This wasn't a football decision, this was a branding gamble. Shedeur brings eyeballs. Yeah, and he's gonna bring headaches when the locker room figures out he wasn't even wanted by half the building. There's a very real disconnect here. Because Shedeur, by all accounts, is walking in like a CEO. That's his brand, his aura. He's a businessman. He's got endorsements, a fan base, and a social presence that rivals half the league. He expects to be treated like the franchise. But what happens when the very people tasked with shaping his NFL journey don't even believe in him? You can't develop a star quarterback in a building divided over whether he should even be there in the first place. And it shows. The whole thing reeks of desperation from the top, and denial from the middle. Jimmy Haslam wanted to make a splash, and boy, did he cannonball straight into the deep end.
Attention to the games they're playing with Shedeur, because I told you, what was the motive of drafting Shedeur Sanders? What was the point of the Browns taking Shedeur when they had a chance in the first round? They actually had two chances in the first round, 33rd pick and the number 2 pick. Then they had a chance in the second round, which they chose, I think it was 2 tight ends in a row. Then the third round, which was Dylan, the Mustang, Gabriel. Then the fourth round, they just bypassed them all together. And the start of the fifth round, they didn't even think of Shedeur until it went well within deep in the second round.
But in doing so, he may have just sabotaged a promising career before it even got going. Because it's hard to be the guy when the guy calling the shots didn't even want you to begin with. So here we are. Shedeur in Cleveland. Barry pretending this is fine. Haslam moonwalking. Fans foaming at the mouth. And an organization once again stuck in a loop of their own dysfunction. The Browns don't rebuild, they just reload the drama. And unless something changes fast, this won't be the start of a new chapter. It'll be a familiar rerun. Another what if, another we almost had it, another entry in the long, cursed novel of Cleveland football. But hey, at least the popcorn's fresh. Now they're seeing it. Oh, now they're wide-eyed and scrambling, trying to clean up the mess like they didn't just trip over the most obvious fact in football. Shedeur Sanders is that guy. The talent, the brand, the leadership, he's the full package wrapped in cleats and confidence. But guess what? Cleveland didn't act like they knew that. Not at first. Not when it mattered. And now, as Shedeur jerseys fly off shelves faster than the Browns' playoff hopes, they're in full-blown PR makeover mode. It's hilarious watching them try to retcon the whole thing. Like, oh yeah, we always believed in Shedeur. Really? Because he got drafted like a maybe. A 5th round maybe. That's the kind of pick you make when your scouting department is choosing between vibes and vibes.
Browns owner Jimmy Haslam stresses that Shedeur Sanders was Andrew Berry's pick, not his. If I'm hearing this correctly, it doesn't sound like the owner of the Cleveland Browns wanted the team to draft Shedeur Sanders, but it was the Browns general manager Andrew Berry that wanted to draft Shedeur Sanders. No lie, I don't think that was the best thing the Browns owner could have said, because hypothetically, if I was a player for the Cleveland Browns and I heard the owner Jimmy Haslam say, "This wasn't my pick, this was the general manager's pick," I would feel some type of way about that. Or actually, I would have an issue with that. Because as a player, you want to feel wanted by a team whenever they draft you. When you get drafted, you want to feel like everybody in that building wanted you on that team. You don't want to feel like there was decisions being made and people upset that they made this pick or whatever. Like, you want everybody to be on the same exact page.
Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel was getting more love in war rooms like it was 2016 and deep ball accuracy was optional. Dylan Gabriel, the guy who played quarterback like it was a group project and he forgot his section of the report. Let's not sugarcoat it. Shedeur is miles ahead of Gabriel in skill, poise, and vision. One of these guys reads defenses like a Wall Street analyst, the other one's out here praying the screen pass turns into a miracle. And yet, it was Gabriel getting attention like he'd just reinvented the position. Shedeur? He got treated like a social media star who stumbled into the draft by accident. But now? Oh, now the script is flipping. Because the moment Shedeur showed up, stepped into training camp, and started slinging the ball like a seasoned pro, you could practically hear the organization hitting the emergency spin button. We always had high hopes. He's everything we dreamed of. Yeah, and I always dreamed of eating kale, but that doesn't mean I bought it at the grocery store. The Browns didn't draft Shedeur like he was the future, they drafted him like he was a luxury bench warmer. And let's talk about the fans, because they're not dumb. They know talent when they see it. They know when a player is being disrespected and when an organization is trying to cover its tracks.
Shot that an owner of an NFL team came out and said, hey, I didn't want him. Like that wasn't going to be my pick. I'm putting all this on Andrew Berry. So if this fails, that's on him. Andrew Berry's got to feel some sort of betrayal. There's no way that a guy that, that is your boss is coming out and saying to the media that Shedeur Sanders was your pick, that he didn't want Shedeur Sanders, and keeping this in mind about Shedeur Sanders. How do you think this makes him feel? Like the owner is saying, I didn't want you. I had no intentions on drafting you. Like, what the? Sorry, but the Cleveland Browns is a clueless ass organization. I know a lot of people be like, the Steelers live rent free in the Browns. Like, bro, why would your owner come out and just simply say, like, this is so fucked up? Like,
and they're not having it. They saw Barry's draft day face. They saw the lack of celebration. They know Shedeur wasn't the hand-picked golden boy from the jump. He was the pick that shocked the building and left half the staff looking like they'd just lost a bet. But the jersey sales? That's real. You can't fake that kind of love. You don't accidentally become the top seller in the building while being just another guy. Cleveland fans are diehards, but they're also not blind. They see Shedeur's work ethic, his command, his star power, and they're all in. But they also see the disconnect between the fans' excitement and the front office's hesitation. And that's why fans are talking loudly. They want Shedeur out. Not because he's failed, but because they're scared Cleveland will fail him. They've seen it too many times before. Talented players get swallowed whole by the Browns machine. It's a franchise with a special skill, taking promising quarterbacks and turning them into trivia questions. So yeah, fans are saying it out loud now. Trade him. Get him somewhere that knows what it's doing. Get him to a team that treats him like a franchise player, not an influencer with a lucky arm. Because the worst thing that could happen to Shedeur isn't losing games, it's wasting his prime trying to prove to a front office that didn't even believe in him when it counted.
It's practice, I know all that, but at the end of the day, we got to base it off of something, okay? When you look at this QB tracker, you will see that Shedeur Sanders was 9 for 9 with 2 touchdowns today. 9 for 9. 2 touchdowns. This man is the most consistent quarterback that they have up there in Cleveland. 90% of his practices are great. 90% of them. Okay? At this point, I do not understand what Shedeur Sanders has to do to get some respect up there. I don't know what he is going to have to do to get in with the ones. This man.
And the timing makes it all the more ridiculous. Why wait until the 5th round? Why act like this was some hidden gem moment when he's been making headlines for years? This isn't some no-name prospect from Division III, this is a quarterback with pedigree, production, and polish. The delay wasn't strategic. It was negligent. It was the result of a system that still doesn't know how to handle players who come in with both talent and brand. Shedeur walked in like a CEO, and the building didn't know whether to hand him the playbook or ask him for a sponsorship deal. It's not just a football problem, it's an identity crisis. The Browns say they want winners, but when they land one, they panic. Shedeur doesn't just want to win, he wants to dominate. He wants to lead, shape the narrative, and change the culture. But he landed in a place where the culture changes players, not the other way around. And that's the core issue. The real ones saw it coming. The analysts with brains bigger than their egos called it months ago. Shedeur is a top-tier prospect, they said. He should go day one. But the league, and especially Cleveland, played it safe. They played it political. And now they're trying to repackage their mistake as destiny.
If you would have told me y'all were gonna pick Shedeur, I would say that's not happening. Andrew Berry made the call to pick Shedeur. Well, if you didn't want him, tell us why. Tell us why you didn't want him. if you're gonna let inside information like this out to us, to the fans, to the rest of the NFL, tell us why it wouldn't happen. Because he been busting everybody out since he been there, and you won't give him any first team reps. But tell us why you won't go pick him. Tell us why. We're dying to know. I know I am. We all know why, but I want to hear from you.
Newsflash, fans don't buy that. They bought the jerseys. They bought into him, not the story the Browns are trying to spin. The people are rallying behind Shedeur, not because Cleveland's selling it, but because he's the only one in that building giving them a reason to believe. Every throw he makes, every smart read, every moment of leadership, fans are logging it. They're keeping receipts. And they're wondering how long until the front office finally catches up, or how long until Shedeur decides to bounce and let some other team cash in on what Cleveland fumbled. Because one thing's for sure, Shedeur isn't just another name on the depth chart. He's the show. He's the momentum. And he's outgrowing the Browns' ability to manage him, fast. And unless something changes soon, all this hype will turn into resentment. Not for Shedeur, he'll be fine. He is the product. The resentment will be aimed straight at the folks trying to rewrite history while holding a burning script. The truth's out now. Everyone sees it. The talent, the mistreatment, the damage control. It's not subtle. It's not hidden. It's front page, prime time, neon lit truth. And if the Browns keep fumbling it, they'll only have themselves to blame when Shedeur becomes a superstar, somewhere else.